The Viridian warship Twilight Sentinel emerged from fold space above Earth's atmosphere, its crystalline hull absorbing and refracting sunlight in patterns that dazzled Earth's observation satellites. Behind it, 12 more ships materialized, their massive forms casting kilometer-long shadows on the planet's clouds below. Supreme Commander Vress stood motionless on the bridge, his 4 eyes fixed on the blue planet that had captured the Empire's attention. Unlike other worlds they'd encountered, Earth had been broadcasting its presence to the cosmos for nearly a century, making no attempt to hide its civilization's growth, conflicts, or achievements. Fascinating, Vress murmured, his secondary voice box producing harmonics that made the bridge crew's sensory filaments vibrate. They broadcast their weaknesses alongside their strengths, either supreme confidence or supreme foolishness. His chief xenopsychologist, Dr. Mira, approached with a data tablet. Neither, Commander. Our analysis suggests they simply don't consider hiding information. Their species evolved without any natural predators at their level of consciousness. They never developed the instinct for concealment that most spacefaring races possess. The information intrigued Vress. The Viridian Empire had encountered thousands of species across the galaxy, but few had developed spaceflight without the pressing need to escape superior predators. Humanity's development path was almost unique. Begin the standard approach, Vress ordered. Show them our piece configuration. Let's see how they react to our presence. The Viridian fleet rearranged itself into a ceremonial formation, designed over millennia to appear non-threatening while maintaining tactical advantage. Earth's response was immediate and unexpected. Instead of the usual panic or immediate submission, the humans began coordinating globally with remarkable speed. Within hours, Earth's military forces had positioned themselves in overlapping defensive patterns, while simultaneously broadcasting welcome messages in multiple formats. They were preparing for both war and peace with equal dedication. Their military response is innovative, General Krell observed from her tactical station. They know they can't win against our technology, yet they've created defensive positions that would maximize damage to our fleet if we attacked. They're sending a message. Dr. Mira's sensory filaments quivered with excitement. This confirms our preliminary studies. Humans don't think in terms of absolute victory or defeat. They think in terms of cost versus benefit. Even facing superior force, they focus on making victory expensive for their opponent. Vress watched as human broadcasts filled their communication screens. News networks, government announcements, military channels, and civilian social media all buzzed with activity. Unlike most species, who centralize their response to first contact, humans maintain thousands of independent information streams. They're chaotic, Krell noted with disapproval. No central authority, no unified response protocol. No, Mira corrected, they're adaptive. Each group is developing its own response strategies. The successful approaches will be quickly copied and refined by others. It's like watching evolution happen in real time. The implications weren't lost on Vress. The Empire had been searching for a solution to their military stagnation. Despite their technological superiority, the Viridians had become predictable. Their enemies had learned to counter their strategies through patience and pattern recognition. Send the first contact team, Vress ordered, but modify the standard protocol. Instead of displaying our full technological capability, show them our medical and agricultural advances first. Let's see how quickly they can adapt beneficial technologies. As the diplomatic shuttle descended through Earth's atmosphere, Vress received a priority message from Imperial Command. His inner eyes widened as he read it. Psychological evaluation of human species suggests unique potential. If capable of rapid technological adaptation, consider for military integration program. Empire requires unpredictable element for coming conflicts. Vress looked down at the blue planet with new understanding. The Empire hadn't come to conquer Earth. They'd come to recruit it. The question was, how would humans react when they learned the price of joining the galactic community? The diplomatic shuttle landed in a cleared area outside the United Nations headquarters in New York. As the human delegates approached, Dr. Mira's instruments recorded everything. Their body language, stress hormones, pupil dilation, and even their skin's electrical conductivity. Every measurement told the same story. These humans were simultaneously terrified and thrilled. "Welcome to Earth," spoke a silver-haired woman who introduced herself as the UN Secretary General. "We hope this meeting marks the beginning of a peaceful and productive relationship between our peoples." What the humans couldn't know was that their response to this greeting would determine whether they were seen as potential allies or simple resources to be harvested. The Empire had protocols for both outcomes, and the ships in orbit were equipped for either possibility. The first contact team emerged from their shuttle, their environmental suits designed to appear as non-threatening as possible, while still protecting them from Earth's aggressive bacterial ecosystem. As they approached the human delegation, Vress watched the feed from orbit, knowing that these next few hours would determine the fate of both species. The Empire needed new soldiers for the coming wars, fighters who could think in ways their enemies couldn't predict. Looking at the strange mix of fear, courage, and curiosity on the human delegates' faces, Vress suspected they might have found exactly what they were looking for, if only humanity would accept the offer they were about to receive. 3 months after first contact, the Viridian Empire's true intentions began to surface. In the secure depths of the United Nations complex, General Sarah Chen stared at the holographic display showing the Empire's latest cooperation proposal. Her knuckles turned white as she gripped the edge of the conference table. "They want us to what?" The U.S. President's voice carried barely contained fury. Dr. James Rodriguez, Earth's chief xenobiologist, cleared his throat. "They're requesting an initial contribution of 50,000 human soldiers for what they call military integration. According to their documents, this would be the first wave of what could eventually become millions." The Chinese premier's translator barely finished relaying the information before she responded. This was their plan all along. The medical technology, the agricultural improvements, all of it was to prepare us for conscription. The room fell silent as Supreme Commander Vress's latest message played again on the central display. His 4 eyes blinked in sequence as he spoke. "Humanity's unique psychological profile makes you ideal candidates for military service. Your species' remarkable ability to innovate under pressure and develop unconventional solutions would significantly benefit the Empire's defensive capabilities." General Chen had spent weeks studying Viridian combat footage they'd been accidentally allowed to see. Their military was formidable but predictable. Every strategy was perfectly executed, every tactic pulled from thousands of years of refined military doctrine. They were a species that had reached the limits of their evolutionary adaptability. "They're not just looking for soldiers," she realized aloud. "They're looking for chaos." The Russian president leaned forward. "Explain." "Look at their battle recordings. Every movement is perfect, every response calculated, but their enemies have learned to predict them. They need something their opponents can't anticipate. They need human unpredictability." Dr. Rodriguez nodded slowly. "It makes sense. Their psychological evaluations of us show both fascination and confusion. We make logical leaps they don't understand. We form emotional bonds they can't predict. We develop solutions that never occur to them." The Indian Prime Minister, who had been quietly observing, finally spoke. "And if we refuse?" As if in answer, new data streamed across their screens. Satellite imagery showed massive ships emerging from fold space at the edges of the solar system. Not the crystalline elegance of diplomatic vessels, but the brutal efficiency of military craft. "That's their answer," General Chen said grimly. "Accept conscription or face conquest." The UN Secretary General stood, her voice steady despite the tension. "Then we must give them our answer. All in favor of accepting the Empire's terms." Not a single hand raised. All in favor of refusing. The vote was unanimous. The Secretary General's finger hovered over the communication panel. "You understand what this means. We're choosing war with a technologically superior force. General Chen allowed herself a small smile. No, we're choosing to show them exactly why they wanted human soldiers in the first place. The response they sent was brief. Humanity respectfully declines the Empire's offer of military integration. We choose to remain independent. The reaction was immediate. The diplomatic vessels in orbit shifted formation, weapon ports opening along their crystalline hulls. Supreme Commander Vress's face appeared on every screen worldwide, his expression unreadable to human eyes. Your decision is noted but unwise. The Empire requires your participation. You have 24 hours to reconsider before we begin military pacification. What happened next would later be called the 24-hour miracle. As alien weapons powered up in orbit, humanity demonstrated exactly why the Empire had wanted them as soldiers. Global communication networks, already enhanced by 3 months of studying Viridian technology, erupted with activity. Military commands were issued in thousands of languages simultaneously. Underground bunkers, whose construction had begun the day the aliens arrived, were activated. Quantum computers, reverse-engineered from gifted Viridian technology, began running battle simulations. But most importantly, humans did what they did best. They innovated. In India, programmers who had been studying Viridian communication protocols discovered exploitable patterns. In Brazil, engineers who had been analyzing the aliens' crystalline technology found resonance frequencies that could disrupt their hull integrity. In Kenya, theoretical physicists identified potential weaknesses in their fold space drives. None of these discoveries alone could match Viridian military might. But together, combined with humanity's talent for unconventional thinking, they created possibilities the Empire had never considered. As the 24-hour deadline approached, General Chen stood in the Global Command Center, watching humanity prepare for a war that would either prove their worth or end their existence. The Viridians had wanted unpredictable soldiers who could think outside their rigid patterns. They were about to get exactly that, just not in the way they had planned. "Send the final message," she ordered. Across every frequency, in every language, using communication protocols both human and alien, Earth broadcast its response. You wanted to see human military capability. Watch carefully. In orbit, Supreme Commander Vress received the message and felt an unfamiliar sensation. Uncertainty. For the first time in his long career, he couldn't predict what would happen next. And that was exactly what humanity was counting on. The first shots of the human-Viridian war weren't fired from guns. They came from servers, laboratories, and workshops across Earth. As the Viridian fleet prepared their opening bombardment, humanity launched its counterattack in ways the Empire never expected. In a secured bunker beneath Tokyo, Dr. Yuki Tanaka watched her quantum interface light up with successful intrusion markers. Her team had spent 3 months analyzing the educational software the Viridians had shared. Hidden in its architecture were the basic protocols of their military communication systems. They never considered we use their teaching tools as weapons, she muttered, fingers flying across the holographic keyboard. Initialize protocol break. Across Earth's orbit, Viridian ships suddenly lost synchronization. Their perfectly coordinated attack patterns fragmented as communication channels filled with contradictory orders. Supreme Commander Vress watched in disbelief as his fleet's formation dissolved into chaos. Impossible. They'd weaponized our educational protocols. But that was just the beginning. In underground facilities across Africa, arrays of hastily constructed resonance projectors activated. These crude devices, reverse-engineered from Viridian medical scanners, targeted the crystalline hulls of the invasion fleet. The frequencies weren't powerful enough to damage the ships, but they didn't need to be. Dr. Kwame Okoro, leading the resonance project from his lab in Nigeria, explained to military observers, "Their hulls are perfect crystalline structures. We can't break them, but we can make them vibrate. And when they vibrate, their sensors became unreliable. Targeting systems lost precision. The mighty Viridian fleet, accustomed to operating with perfect information, suddenly found itself struggling with uncertainty. In orbit, Vress's tactical officer reported growing confusion. "Sir, our targeting accuracy has dropped to 47%. Hull sensors are reporting phantom damage across all decks. We can't distinguish real threats from sensor ghosts." Humanity's response continued to unfold. In the Atacama Desert, massive arrays of radio telescopes, repurposed with modified Viridian communication technology, began broadcasting directly into the fleet's fold space wake. The emissions weren't harmful, but they created interference patterns in the very fabric of space-time the ships used for faster-than-light travel. "They're trapped," General Chen announced to the Global Command Center. "As long as we maintain the interference, they can't retreat into fold space without risking drive implosion." But the Empire wasn't defenseless. Even confused and disrupted, their technology remained far superior. The first orbital strikes hit military bases across Earth with devastating precision. Viridian energy weapons carved glowing craters into the planet's surface. Humanity's response: they adapted. Underground facilities, hardened against nuclear war and prepared for this very moment, continued operating. Mobile command centers, hidden in civilian traffic patterns, coordinated the global defense. Every destroyed installation had 3 backups ready to take over its functions. Dr. Rodriguez, analyzing Viridian combat patterns, made a crucial observation. "They expect us to defend our military assets at all costs. They don't understand that we're willing to sacrifice installations to maintain our advantage." This fundamental misunderstanding of human psychology proved crucial. The Viridians wasted precious time and resources destroying facilities that humans had already abandoned, while the real resistance operated from unexpected locations. A breakthrough came from an unlikely source. A team of marine biologists noticed that the Viridians' crystalline technology shared characteristics with certain deep-sea organisms. Working with military engineers, they developed a method to genetically modify bioluminescent bacteria to interact with Viridian hull materials. Within days, Earth's oceans were seeded with these modified organisms. When Viridian ships flew low for precision strikes, the bacteria attached to their hulls. The effect wasn't immediately apparent, but over time, the microscopic life forms began disrupting the delicate crystalline structures. "Sir," Vress's engineering chief reported, "hull integrity is degrading across the fleet. Some unknown biological agent is affecting the crystal matrix at the molecular level." Vress, for the first time in his career, felt something approaching respect for an opponent. The humans weren't trying to match Viridian technology. They were finding ways to turn it against itself. But the most devastating human innovation came from an unexpected quarter. Social media platforms, analyzed by AI systems enhanced with Viridian computing technology, began identifying patterns in the Empire's military decisions. Every response, every tactical choice, was being cataloged and predicted. "They're not truly adaptive," explained Dr. Sarah Cohen, lead analyst at the Global Defense AI Center. "Their strategies are based on millions of years of accumulated military doctrine. Complex, yes, but ultimately finite. And anything finite can be predicted." As the first day of combat ended, Supreme Commander Vress faced an uncomfortable reality. His fleet, while still enormously powerful, was fighting blind, unable to use fold space drives, and slowly being compromised by microscopic organisms. Every tactical decision he made was being anticipated and countered before he could execute it. In the Global Command Center, General Chen received reports from around the world. Despite severe losses, humanity's defensive network was holding. More importantly, their countermeasures were proving increasingly effective. "The Viridians wanted unpredictable soldiers," she told her staff. "Instead, they're getting an entire species that refuses to fight the way they expect. Send word to all commands. Begin Phase 2. As night fell over Earth, the true nature of humanity's resistance was about to be revealed. The Viridians had wanted innovation and adaptability. They were about to learn exactly what those qualities meant when backed by human determination. While the Viridian fleet struggled with humanity's technological countermeasures, a more profound battle was unfolding. In the vast network of underground facilities and makeshift command centers, humans were demonstrating a form of warfare the Empire had never encountered, one based on emotional intelligence and collective consciousness. Dr. Maya Patel stood before a wall of neural interface screens in the Indian Institute of Advanced Studies, watching as millions of human minds collaborated in virtual space. What had started as a simple social media response to the invasion had evolved into something unprecedented. "It's like watching a global brain emerge," she explained to military observers. "People aren't just sharing information. They're thinking together, dreaming together, solving problems as a unified consciousness." The Adaptive Defense Network, as it came to be called, connected human minds across the planet. Artists worked alongside engineers, suggesting creative solutions that no military tactician would have considered. Children's wild ideas were analyzed by AI systems, sometimes revealing brilliant strategies hidden within their unconventional thinking. In orbit, Supreme Commander Vress received increasingly disturbing reports. His fleet's tactical eye, the most advanced in the Empire, was failing to predict human responses. Every strategy they deployed was met with not one but thousands of simultaneous counter-strategies, each unique and adaptive. "How are they coordinating these responses?" he demanded. "Their command structure should have collapsed hours ago." His chief analyst, struggling to make sense of the data, finally admitted, "Sir, we can't find their command structure. It seems to be everywhere and nowhere." The truth was beyond Viridian comprehension. Humanity wasn't fighting with a hierarchical command structure. They were fighting as a connected species, each individual contributing to a collective response while maintaining their unique perspective. In a bunker beneath London, a 12-year-old girl's Minecraft design inspired a new way to disrupt Viridian shield harmonics. In a Sao Paulo cafe, a poet's metaphor about crystalline structures led material scientists to a breakthrough in hull disruption technology. A grandmother in Kenya, watching Viridian attack patterns, recognized them as similar to predator behaviors she'd studied in her youth as a wildlife photographer. Each insight, shared through the Adaptive Defense Network, became part of humanity's evolving strategy. The network itself, powered by modified Viridian quantum processors, grew more sophisticated by the hour. It wasn't artificial intelligence. It was augmented human intelligence, operating at a scale the Empire had never imagined possible. Dr. Rodriguez, monitoring Viridian communications, noticed something significant. Their soldiers are becoming hesitant. They can't understand how we're fighting, and it's affecting their morale. He was right. The Empire's military doctrine was based on perfect obedience and coordinated action, but now they faced an enemy that seemed to operate like a single organism while simultaneously being completely unpredictable. Every Viridian soldier felt like they were fighting not an army, but an entire species that could think and act as one. The emotional impact was profound. Viridian warriors, bred for centuries to be perfect soldiers, began experiencing something alien to their nature: doubt. In their ship's recreation chambers, designed to maintain psychological stability, Viridian crews watched in confusion as humans continued to create art, music, and literature even in the midst of war. They intercepted transmissions of families singing together in bunkers, of children drawing pictures of hope and resistance, of lovers making plans for a future they refused to surrender. "They're not just fighting us," a Viridian psychologist reported to Vress. "They're drawing strength from each other. Every connection they form makes them stronger, more resilient. It defies all our understanding of military psychology." What the Empire couldn't grasp was that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their technology or their adaptability. It was their capacity for emotional connection. Every human on Earth felt connected to the resistance, not through military discipline, but through shared hope, shared fear, and shared determination. General Chen, watching the Adaptive Defense Network's progress, understood what was happening. "We're not just sharing information," she told her staff. "We're sharing our humanity. And that's something they can't predict or counter." As the second day of the war began, the Viridian fleet faced a disturbing reality. Their enemy was neither a military force nor a political entity. They were fighting an entire species that had somehow achieved collective consciousness while maintaining individual creativity. In his command chair, Supreme Commander Vress received a message that chilled him to his core. It wasn't from Earth's military command or political leaders. It was a simple video showing children in a bunker, drawing pictures of peace between humans and Viridians while their parents worked on combat strategies. The message was clear. Humanity could wage war and dream of peace simultaneously. They could fight with all their strength while still hoping for reconciliation. This cognitive dissonance, impossible for Viridian minds to process, was perhaps humanity's most powerful weapon. As dawn broke over Earth's multiple battlefronts, the Empire was about to learn that their quest for unpredictable soldiers had succeeded beyond their wildest expectations and their worst nightmares. The third day of the human-Viridian War began not with weapons fire, but with an unprecedented event that would reshape galactic history. As Supreme Commander Vress prepared for another assault on Earth's defenses, his chief communications officer reported something impossible. His fleet was being hacked not by machines, but by human minds. The adaptive defense network had evolved beyond its creator's expectations. Millions of connected human consciousness, augmented by quantum processors, had achieved what Viridian scientists had deemed impossible: direct neural interface with alien technology. "Sir," his officer reported, panic evident in their harmonics, "humans are appearing in our virtual command spaces. They're not attacking. They're trying to talk." Through the crystalline networks of every Viridian ship, human avatars manifested in their communication systems, not as warriors, but as diplomats, scientists, artists, and children. They brought not demands, but questions, ideas, and hopes for understanding. Dr. Maya Patel, one of the architects of this unprecedented contact, explained to Earth's leadership, "We're showing them who we really are. Not just our military capability, but our capacity for connection, for understanding, for growth." In his command chair, Vress watched as his crew interacted with these virtual human presences. To his astonishment, his soldiers weren't reacting with hostility, but with fascination. The very unpredictability that made humans dangerous in combat made them irresistibly intriguing in conversation. A young Viridian weapons officer found herself discussing poetry with a human artist. A tactical specialist engaged in a complex debate about predator-prey relationships with a Earth biologist. Even the ship's AI systems seemed to be learning, evolving through contact with human thought patterns. "This is what you wanted, isn't it?" The question came from General Chen's avatar, standing before Vress in his virtual command center. "You wanted soldiers who could think differently, but you never considered that different thinking might lead to different solutions." Vress, for the first time in his long military career, felt something his species rarely experienced: personal growth. "We sought to harness your unpredictability," he admitted. "We never considered trying to understand it." The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. A group of human children, connected to the network from a shelter in Buenos Aires, began sharing their drawings with Viridian crew members. The images showed humans and Viridians working together, exploring space, sharing knowledge. The simple hopes of children, transmitted directly into the minds of alien warriors, did what no weapon could: it changed their perspective. "Look at how they think." Vress marveled to his command staff. "They face extinction, yet they imagine friendship. They fight with incredible skill, yet they desire peace. Every human is a contradiction, a puzzle that our species could spend centuries trying to understand." The adaptive defense network continued to evolve, now incorporating willing Viridian minds into its expanding consciousness. The exchange of ideas, emotions, and perspectives accelerated. Viridian crystal technology, merged with human neural patterns, created something entirely new: a bridge between species that transcended both. In the Global Command Center, Dr. Rodriguez watched in amazement as Viridian ships began powering down their weapons. They're not surrendering, he realized. They're choosing to change. The formal end of hostilities came not through traditional diplomacy, but through shared consciousness. Humans and Viridians, connected through the network, crafted a new kind of agreement, one based on mutual growth rather than dominance. "We came seeking soldiers," Vress announced to both species. "Instead, we found teachers. The Empire needs not your obedience, but your inspiration." The terms of peace were unprecedented in galactic history. Earth would not be conquered or recruited. Instead, a new organization would be formed, the Convergence Initiative. Humans would share their adaptability, creativity, and emotional intelligence, while Viridians would share their technology and knowledge of the cosmos. General Chen, standing with Vress in a shared virtual space that melded human and Viridian aesthetics, smiled. "You wanted to learn how humans fight. Instead, you learned how we grow, how we connect, how we transform." The aftermath of the 3-day war, as it came to be known, changed both species forever. The Viridian Empire, for the first time in its history, began to evolve culturally and emotionally. Humanity, given access to advanced technology and galactic knowledge, continued to surprise and inspire their new allies with their endless capacity for innovation. As the Viridian fleet departed Earth's orbit, they left not as defeated enemies or frustrated conquerors, but as transformed beings. The crystalline ships, now partially integrated with human consciousness, sparkled with new patterns that reflected their hybrid nature. In the years that followed, other galactic civilizations would learn to fear the sight of human and Viridian ships appearing together. Not because of their military might, but because their arrival meant change was coming. Change that could not be predicted, controlled, or resisted. The species that had sought to harness humanity's unique traits had instead been transformed by them, and in that transformation, both humanity and the Viridians had discovered something greater than military power. They had discovered the strength that comes from embracing change, fostering connection, and believing in the possibility of growth. Throughout the galaxy, a new saying emerged: "Beware not the weapons of Earth, but their capacity to transform your very nature." For in seeking to understand humans, you may find yourself becoming something more than you ever imagined possible.